Have you ever found yourself trapped in a vicious cycle? Repeating mistakes that seem inevitable, disastrous love relationships, wasted career opportunities, constant family conflicts. It's as if an invisible force is propelling you back to the same starting point, isn't it? Have you ever wondered if the shadows of the past are obscuring your present, dictating choices you don't even realize you're making? In this video, we will illuminate the corners of your history together, seeking to understand how childhood experiences, sometimes buried in memory, may be writing the script of your adult life. Allow yourself to question, is the child you once were still in charge? Prepare for a profound transformation. We will analyze the patterns that imprison you, tracing the origin of these painful repetitions. Together we will uncover how old wounds, even those that appear healed, can influence your current decisions and relationships. But above all, we will build a path of liberation. Believe me, it is possible to give new meaning to your story, heal the pains of the past, and build a lighter and more authentic future. Are you ready to break free from the shackles of childhood and take the lead in your life? Have you ever felt like a puppet, repeating painful stories without understanding why, as if an invisible force was propelling you into failed relationships or lost opportunities? The key to this prison may lie in childhood traumas, even in those recesses of memory that seem inaccessible. Let's explore together how these experiences, especially the most difficult ones, are deeply embedded in our being, affecting every area of our lives. What happens when the pain of childhood defines, without you realizing it, the choices of the adult you have become? Childhood trauma transcends the simple memory of a bad event. It is an emotional scar that influences brain development, how we interpret the world, and the ability to create secure bonds. Neglect, rejection, physical or emotional violence, or even the lack of a loving and accepting environment can leave deep wounds. These wounds, often invisible, affect the ability to trust, generate fear of abandonment, drive the incessant search for external approval, or even the tendency to put oneself in dangerous situations. Have you ever stopped to think about how your childhood may be dictating the rules of your present? Imagine a child growing up in a home where their emotional needs are constantly ignored. They may internalize the belief that they are not worthy of love, attention, or care. This belief, even if hidden in the depths of the unconscious, can sabotage their love, professional, and family relationships in adulthood. This person may have difficulty connecting intimately with others, pushing away love and happiness without understanding why. Have you ever wondered if you are repeating relationship patterns that originated in your childhood? The effect of childhood traumas goes beyond our ability to consciously remember events. They manifest in exaggerated emotional reactions, repetitive behaviors, and difficulty regulating emotions. It's as if the body stores the memory of the trauma, even if the mind cannot access it. The unconscious acts as an alert system, preparing us to avoid similar situations in the future. However, this protection can become a prison, preventing us from living fully. Are you ready to begin the journey of liberation and give new meaning to your past? Do you think that you sometimes react in ways that even you question? Have you ever found yourself repeating behaviors that bring you suffering? Often the key lies in childhood traumas. To endure the pain, the child erects defenses, true shields that protect them from a world that, for them, is revealed to be threatening. But how do these shields, built at an early age, influence your life today? Instead of protecting you, are they limiting your potential to be happy and build authentic relationships? Reflect on that. These mechanisms are strategies that the mind triggers without us realizing it. They are like programs installed to keep us safe from painful emotions and experiences. Denying reality, placing on others what we feel, or justifying our actions with apparent logic are common examples. But imagine the weight of carrying these defenses throughout life. What price do you pay for the apparent security they offer? Isn't it time to question whether these shields still serve their purpose, or whether they have already become barriers that prevent you from living fully? Think of a child who suffers constant rejection. To endure the pain, they can repress their feelings, burying them in the deepest part of their being. As an adult, this person may have immense difficulty in expressing their emotions, appearing to be cold or distant, even if inside there is a whirlwind of feelings waiting to be released. Doesn't this ice armor prevent them from truly connecting with others, from loving and being loved in all their fullness? What kind of relationships can you build when vulnerability is seen as a weakness to be hidden? Also consider projection. The person attributes their own negative feelings to others, as if they were projecting a film onto a screen. An adult with low self-esteem may incessantly criticize colleagues without being able to perceive that the origin of this attitude lies in their own insecurity. Isn't this constant criticism, in fact, a cry for help, a disguised way of asking for help to deal with their own wounds? What kind of environment do you create around you when negativity becomes your trademark? Ponder on that. Rationalization is another common mechanism. We justify our actions with logical and apparently rational explanations, but the true motivation is different. Someone who avoids love relationships may say that they are prioritizing their professional career when the real reason is the fear of intimacy, rejection, or abandonment. But does this incessant pursuit of professional success compensate for the absence of love and connection in your life? Are you using your career as an excuse to avoid facing your deepest fears? These defenses, which were so useful in childhood, can become a huge problem in adulthood. They end up preventing the construction of healthy relationships and the authentic expression of being. They make it difficult to know oneself and overcome the traumas that haunt us so much. But are you condemned to live hostage to these patterns of the past? Isn't there a way to break free from these shackles and build a lighter and happier future? Believe me, the answer is within you. Identifying these patterns is the first crucial step. Perceiving when we are using a defense mechanism allows us to question it, to look at it with more clarity and compassion. We then begin to illuminate the origins of the pain, to understand the wounds that need to be healed. But how can we begin this process of self-discovery? What tools can we use to become more aware of our patterns of behavior? The journey towards healing begins with the courage to look inward. The careful analysis of these shields opens the doors to a fuller and more conscious life, free from the suffering imposed by the past. It brings us closer to who we really are, to our purest and most genuine essence. But imagine the lightness of breaking free from these shackles, of finally being able to be yourself, without masks or disguises. What kind of person would you become if you could free yourself from the weight of the past? What kind of future could you build if you allowed yourself to be happy, without guilt or fear? Believe me, you deserve this freedom. Childhood traumas often manifest in adult life through the repetition of relational patterns. Unconsciously, we seek to recreate the old family dynamics in the hope of a different ending. This can lead us to choose people with traits similar to those of our caregivers, even if these traits were the origin of our pain. Have you ever wondered why you feel attracted to certain types of people, even knowing that they are not the most suitable for you? Are you repeating a pattern from the past, unconsciously seeking a cure for an old wound? This repetition is no coincidence. It is an unconscious attempt to control the trauma, to correct what went wrong. However, without the right awareness and therapeutic work, we end up trapped in circles of suffering. The wounded child within us longs for healing, but ends up guiding us to situations that only confirm the wound. Have you ever stopped to think if you are trying to redo the past in the hope of finally getting the love and acceptance that you needed so much as a child? This unconscious search may be preventing you from living the present fully and building truly healthy relationships. Imagine someone who grew up with a father who did not show emotions. In adult life, this person may feel attracted to equally distant partners, recreating the feeling of abandonment. Or, someone who was highly criticized may seek approval in their relationships, becoming excessively complacent. Do you identify with any of these situations? Are you repeating patterns of behavior that prevent you from being happy and fulfilled in your relationships? Identifying these patterns is the first step to break this vicious cycle and build a different future. These patterns are not restricted to love relationships. They can arise in friendships, at work, and even in the way we see ourselves. Severe self-criticism, for example, can be a reflection of the criticism internalized in childhood. The difficulty in trusting others can be a result of betrayals or disappointments experienced in the family. Have you reflected on how your childhood may be influencing the way you relate to yourself and to others? Are you being too hard on yourself, repeating the same criticisms that you heard when you were a child? Or do you have difficulty trusting people, fearing to be betrayed or disappointed as you have been in the past? Recognizing these patterns is the first step to interrupt the cycle. Observing the similarities between the present and the past, identifying the emotions that are repeated, and questioning the choices we make are essential attitudes. Therapy offers a safe space to investigate these dynamics and build new ways of relating to oneself and to the world. Are you ready to begin this journey of self-knowledge and healing? Remember, you are not alone on this path. There are professionals and resources available to help you overcome the traumas of the past and build a happier and healthier future. Childhood traumas often cast long shadows on adult emotional life. Anxiety manifests as a constant state of alert, a persistent anticipation of dangers and threats, even in the absence of concrete evidence. Imagine living each day as if the ground could give way at any moment. This hypervigilance, this extreme readiness, is a direct consequence of the insecurity and instability experienced in childhood, an echo of that time when safety was a mirage. How can we flourish when our roots have been planted in barren soil? Does the incessant search for security prevent us from fully living in the present? Depression, in turn, emerges as a deep feeling of hopelessness and lack of purpose in life. The child who suffered traumas may internalize the belief that they are not worthy of love and care, absorbing the message that they are intrinsically flawed or undesirable. This internalization leads to the development of a negative view of oneself and the world, a dark filter that colors all experiences. This pessimistic view can persist in adult life, nurturing depression and obscuring any glimpse of hope or joy. How can we find the light when we have been taught to see only darkness? Do we deserve the love and care that we were denied in childhood? One of the most significant impacts of childhood traumas is the difficulty in regulating emotions, a constant struggle to maintain balance amidst an internal storm. Traumatized children often do not learn to identify, express, and deal with their feelings in a healthy way. Without an adequate model of emotional regulation, they can become prey to emotional outbursts, impulsive behaviors, or, on the other hand, a paralyzing repression of emotions. Imagine the frustration of feeling intense emotions without knowing how to manage them. How can we learn to navigate the turbulent sea of our emotions when we have never been taught to sail? Are we condemned to repeat the patterns of emotional dysregulation of the past? This difficulty in regulating emotions can manifest in various aspects of adult life, contaminating interpersonal relationships, work performance, and physical health. The person may have difficulty establishing secure and reliable bonds, dealing with daily stress, and maintaining general well-being. Imagine the pain of sabotaging important relationships for fear of vulnerability. The constant internal battle drains vital energy, compromising the ability to prosper and find contentment. How can we build healthy relationships when we carry the weight of trauma in our hearts? Do we deserve to experience the joy and serenity that seem so distant? A vicious cycle is established, trapping the person in a destructive pattern. The difficulty in regulating emotions generates even more stress and suffering, which, in turn, intensifies the symptoms of anxiety and depression. Breaking this cycle requires a process of self-knowledge and deep healing, which involves the recognition and elaboration of childhood traumas, the confrontation of old pains. It is a process of unearthing long-hidden wounds. How can we break free from the chains of the past if we do not allow ourselves to feel the pain we carry? Do we have the courage to face our inner demons and rebuild our lives? Seeking professional help, such as psychotherapy, can be essential in this healing process. A qualified therapist can help the person identify dysfunctional emotional patterns, develop emotional regulation skills, and build a new narrative about their life story. Imagine having an experienced guide to help you navigate the labyrinth of trauma. Through therapy, it is possible to give new meaning to the painful experiences of the past and transform the scars into symbols of strength and resilience. How can we forgive ourselves for the things we did under the influence of trauma? Can we learn to love and accept ourselves, even with our imperfections? Overcoming childhood traumas is an extensive and challenging process, but it is absolutely possible. With adequate support and commitment to self-knowledge, the person can transform their wounds into strength and resilience, emerging from suffering stronger and more compassionate. Remember that you are not alone on this journey. There is hope and healing available to everyone. How can we transform the pain of the past into a catalyst for personal growth? Can we use our experiences to help others overcome their own traumas and find healing? The next step is to understand how these traumas affect relationships.